Hello everyone. Welcome to this channel Jikook universe. In this video we will discuss something interesting and definitely a shame to miss. Come on, watch until the end. Sometimes love doesn't come in words. It's not always announced through grand declarations, not always conveyed through song lyrics or public speeches. There's love that lives in silence, in small gestures, in things that may seem ordinary to the world, but mean everything to two hearts that understand each other. And among the thousands of stories written without a pen, there's one that continues to whisper softly. The story of Jimin and Jungkook. In recent days, an image has been circulating rapidly. Not a dramatic image, not a grand surprise on stage. Just two young men walking side by side at the airport. But there was something there. Something that made the world pause for a moment. Jimin and Jungkook were holding hands. That was it. But for those who have followed their journey over the years, that handshake wasn't just a gesture. It was a confession. An honesty that quietly slipped through the crowd, through the camera lens, and settled in the hearts of millions of fans. But there was another detail that was no less important. More subtle, more hidden. The hat Jungkook was wearing. At first glance, it seems like a simple accessory, but to those who know the story well, the hat speaks more than words can express. It says Tokyo, along with a date and coordinates that only one person fully understands, Jimin. G.C.F. in Tokyo. A video that has now become legendary among BTS fans. A work not commissioned by management, not produced for any campaign. It's a personal video, captured through an honest lens and an open heart. Jungkook takes on the role of director, editor, and writer of the visual story. And the sole star of the story is Jimin. It's no coincidence. There's no narration. No dialogue. Just fragments of moments lovingly assembled. Every frame is poetry. Every transition is a heartbeat. The accompanying music flows with a tenderness that can only come from genuine feeling. Not a single word is spoken, but everything feels complete. And now, years later, Jungkook shows up at the airport wearing a hat that directly references those memories. To some, it's just a piece of cloth with writing on it. But to those who know, it's a symbol. A small window that peeks back into the quiet nights of Tokyo, when two young people walked under the city lights, sharing laughter, filming each other, looking at each other, and maybe falling in love in their own way. This story isn't about labels. It's not about who loves whom or how the world perceives them. It's about two people sharing something deeply personal and deeply sincere. Something that can't be limited by cameras or public expectations. Jimin and Jungkook have walked side by side since their teenage years. They grew up under the same pressures, in the same spotlight, and through the same struggles. But what they built together wasn't just professionalism or teamwork. They built a safe space. A place where they could be themselves. Behind the grand stage, beyond the camera lens, they had a small world that only they understood. And that world often was revealed in small gestures. When Jimin gently stroked Jungkook's arm before a performance. When Jungkook looked at Jimin as if he were the only one in a room full of people. When they sat side by side in silence, but spoke so clearly through their eyes. Now they no longer hid what they felt. They didn't shout about it, nor did they deny it. They just lived it. That handshake at the airport wasn't a form of rebellion, but of honesty. A simple moment that became the most sincere statement. I'm here. I'm always by your side. That hat. It wasn't just fabric and letters. It was a reminder that there was a moment so precious that years later, it's still worn with pride. That in an ever-changing world, some things remain. Some memories never fade. Some love doesn't need recognition because it's so real even in silence. Jimin and Jungkook's relationship isn't an ordinary love story. It's not one shaped by sweet words or planned stage moments. It's a story built in silence, in smiles caught on camera, in glances met during rehearsals, in a togetherness that needs no reason. And if there's one thing to learn from them, perhaps it's that true love doesn't need fanfare. It doesn't need to be announced, displayed, or argued about. It just needs to be felt, cherished, and remembered, even if only through a hat, a handkerchief, or a video recorded on a quiet night in Tokyo. They didn't say it, but the world already knew. And perhaps that's what makes it so beautiful. And when we talk about a relationship that grows in silence, we're talking about courage. Because in a world that always wants answers, they choose silence. Amidst the pressure to explain, they choose to show. Not many are capable of that. Not many can endure a love that isn't narrated but felt. Every time the camera catches them looking at each other, the world speculates. But they never rush to confirm or deny it. They simply let this story unfold as it is. As if to say, we don't need to explain anything, because we know what we feel. And perhaps that's the greatest strength of their relationship. It's not what's seen but what's implied. There are things left unsaid because they don't need to. Jimin doesn't have to say he trusts Jungkook. Jungkook doesn't have to promise to always be with Jimin. Because in every action, that trust is already so evident. A relationship like this, one that walks side by side in light and shadow, that grows in busyness and silence, is one that's not easy to find. They've been through many seasons together. From small stages to large stadiums. From the tears of trainee days to the smiles of receiving world-class awards. And through it all, they always had each other. See how they comfort each other backstage when the pressure is so great it's hard to breathe. See how their hands seek each other even when there are no cameras rolling. See how Jungkook plays their memories through his hat as if saying to Jimin, I still remember. I'm still here. We as viewers often only see fragments. But from those fragments, a pattern forms. A consistent pattern of togetherness, a pattern of closeness that isn't feigned. Not all love needs to be framed in confessions. There's love that's present enough in the small moments. The way they hold each other, the way they stay silent next to each other without feeling the need to speak. And the more we watch them, the more we realize that this kind of love, a love that's undeclared but felt, is the strongest love. A love that chooses to stay alive even when the world demands clarity. A love that doesn't use the spotlight as a stage, but makes everyday life its proof. Jimin and Jungkook have shown us all that love doesn't always require a big story. Sometimes love just takes a night in Tokyo. A single handshake at the airport. A hat with a sign that only they understand. And of all the things they share, songs, stages, memories, the most precious might be silence itself. A silence that can only be shared by two people who truly know each other. Who know that despite the demands of the world, they only need each other. Because in the end, true love doesn't always have to be spoken. True love, like their story, is something we feel, even without words. Thank you for accompanying the sweet story of Jimin and Jungkook today. Don't forget to turn on notifications so you don't miss their next special moment. See you in the next video, Jikookers.